Hello, hello, hello. Hooligan Soccer Podcast coming at you on this very, very wonderful Cinco de Mayo with the Qooligan.
Oh, crap. That's right. Yeah. It is Cinco de Mayo.
Comes the day after May the 4th. May the 4th be with you, right?
May the 4th be with you, indeed.
Anyway, Qooligan, good morning.
That would explain the large number of cars that were running around Oakland yesterday with Mexican flags waving. And I mean, that's not an uncommon thing to see. But it seemed to be a little bit more prevalent than usual.
It wasn't the Burrito Boys were not playing it. Were not in town, was it? That would explain it.
No. Yeah.
Super.
Okay, there you go.
So there we go. So Qooligan, you were at the Oakland Roots game yesterday. You were sharing some photos and some updates and some. How was the atmosphere at the Coliseum?
Listen, it's the Roots and it's against their arch rival Sac Republic, so the vibe was fantastic. I mean, great crowds, a really solid contingent of Sacramento supporters. One of the big advantages, and I spoke to a number of them pre-game and the food truck lines. I was hungry, needed some sustenance, and they're all great. You know, they support their club. They're passionate about their club the same way that I'm passionate about mine, and we all mutually assured one another that we didn't wish each other good luck because that would just be disingenuous. We both know it's not true. So we both would shake hands and say, let's just hope it's a good game.
Wonderful. Sportsmanship.
Sadly, it did not prove to be true. It was not a very good game, unfortunately. No, and I mean by either side. I don't think either side was really – they were probing. It was mostly chess. I mean, it was soccer. And they were just like – it was a midfield battle, midfield tussle, some physicality – a lot of diving, a lot of drama, a lot of like rolling on the ground. I mean, it wasn't really a scintillating and exciting game. And the deciding factor was a penalty kick in the 48th minute. Yeah, it was a penalty. Okay. And the guy converted it. And there were a couple of chances. No, it was a dull 1-0, sadly. Yeah. But like Los Roots were back in the state. The Los Roots Ultras were back, with their drumming and their chanting. They did receive a 1-game ban. I still haven't found out exactly why they got a 1-game ban, but something happened in a previous game that I was not at. But they were equally matched by the Sacs on the opposite side of the stadium. The Sac Ultras were doing their thing, and it was great. It was great.
Wonderful, fantastic. Yeah. So we've got an interesting agenda for today. I think what's beginning to become evident, obviously, as we get to sort of the end of the season, particularly in Europe as well, is obviously we've got some of the European leagues are beginning to sort of get finalized and wrapped up. Obviously, we know who's getting relegated. Obviously, a few more champions are being crowned and confirmed as well. So we'll bounce around that. Then we'll go back. We'll cover a little bit of the MLS activity as well. I think it's Galaxy's turn on the chopping block as well. I mean that's sort of crazy statistic. We will save that.
Boy, let's just say one team is really happy that ProRel hasn't made it to the MLS. That team is Galaxy.
That is Galaxy, exactly. Yikes. And then we will look into a little bit more of the second leg semifinals in the European competitions now that the CONCACAF Champions Cup final has been decided and set. So we will go to that.
As a segue, I'm wearing my Ajax.
Yes.
My Ajax jersey, particularly because there is this phenomenal event called the Club World Cup that's coming up, the FIFA Club World Cup, if I'm being proper about it. Ajax sadly will not be attending. However, 36 of the best clubs from around the globe will be there. And so will the Hooligan Soccer team. Gary, yourself, and myself we've committed to doing a daily podcast around this amazing event, bringing you all of the highlights from the previous games, talking about the teams, really trying to root for the underdog here. We're going to be like spending lots of good time and hoping and wishing for those underdogs to upset some of the big seeded clubs.
Wonderful.
And you can and follow us everywhere that you get your podcasts because we're already there. And Gary, what's the official name of it again?
It is the FIFA Club World Cup, a global showdown.
I love it. Music to my ears.
There we go. Wow, thank you for that plug, Qooligan. As always, that's good. So so follow, like, subscribe. We're actually going to be, I think we're going to be putting some episodes in the can, just breaking down the group stages and who are the teams competing, what's their background, how do they qualify, as well. That should be
very shortly. Very shortly. Stay tuned to this channel. Yeah, it'll be coming.
There we go. So that will be coming as well. So yes, okay. So we got all ads, plugs out of the way, all the preamble and banter. Where do you want to start first? What was the sort of the top of mind story for you that happened this past weekend with all the activity going on in Europe?
Personally, Arsenal's performance against Bournemouth. If I had to go somewhere, that is not a good harbinger make for their upcoming match against PSG. Not that we want to cross streams about Champions League and all that, but boy, Arsenal, what a bottle job, boys. Well done.
Yeah, they did really struggle on that one, didn't they? They did not cover themselves in glory in any way, shape, or form. And
we know Bournemouth is tough. Mm-hmm. They've been the most prickly team in the one of the most prickly teams in the Premier League. Mm-hmm. But when that second half came on, they just dominated. They dominated. Yeah. They imposed their will on an Arsenal team that should be better than that. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And Arsenal didn't have an answer.
Yeah, I do wonder. Look, I mean, obviously they went 1-0 up with Rice scoring in the first half. And again, do you think there was an element of like taking their eye off the ball and just saying, okay, like we've got this should be okay. We can walk this one home and then focus on Paris in the midweek, because they haven't got too much else to play for, obviously. However,
if you look at to play for.
Well, but exactly. Yep. Go you take it. I know exactly where you're going.
But I did the math. They can miss Champions League.
Yep.
If this continues.
Imagine.
If this continues, right? Now, mind you, it is a stretch. It is perhaps even a great no. My Crystal Palace fever dream getting to Europe was a much bigger leap than this one. I mean, because that one was over a period of 10 games. This is over a period of 5 games. But they need to, if they drop more points, there is a chance that they could get leapfrogged. There are 5 teams below them that mathematically have a chance to go in and leapfrog them. And that would push them down. They would still get a European slot, but it would be
but it's not the same. It's not the same. Yeah, playing against the likes of Bodo Glimt versus PSG in the semifinals is very very different, right? Yeah,
it's very different.
It's a possibility, and my God, that would be a choke. That would be a choke of note. Hey, they would be favorites to win the league, and then all of a sudden don't. But again, we can
in a season that has had some crazy twists and turns. That would have to be the capper.
Yeah, that would be. It would be certainly very interesting. I think, and the other interesting as well is just it seems like all the other sort of ones going for the Champions League have found some form, right? City are back to it, just grinding out the wins. Newcastle is pretty good. Chelsea with their 3rd win in a row. I was really surprised by that result against Liverpool, I have to say. I know Liverpool probably had a bit of a hangover, but Chelsea did look they've got their bounce back all of a sudden. Cole Palmer was rocking. Fernandes playing further forward.
Cole Palmer converted a penalty in stoppage time. I don't want to. I'm not getting. Sorry, that's only his 3rd goal of the season. He's not rocking.
He needed it.
That's like giving a pacifier to a toddler.
Well, exactly. He needed that one.
It's just something he needed in the moment.
Yeah, and he got it.
I realized just how insulting that was to Cole Palmer. My apologies. I didn't really intend it that way. But
no. He's just having a run of form. The other real concern is Forest, right? You know, I know they play a little bit later on today.
You say that, and I don't see it. They're not. They're. Listen, what happened was. Yes, they're now in that they're occupying that 5th spot. So yes,
they're in 6th at the moment. They're in 6th right now. They've got a game in hand, so they play today. They are playing today. They're playing Palace. They're playing your boys today. Right.
Yeah, sorry, I misread that. They are in 6th.
Yeah,
but okay, they've got the game in hand. I'm not gonna go out and doom and gloom Forest right now. Only because they have to play Palace, and we have to see how they step up. If they do not perform against Palace, then yes, your prediction and your sentiment is 100%
there's a gap,
and I will agree with you on that. Yes,
there's daylight. So yeah, if they like a draw is the worst case scenario that they can entertain because it gives them a chance. But if they lose, there's daylight now between sort of Chelsea in 5th and Forest in 6th, and again, there's only 3 games left in the season. There's not much runway to catch up on this one. So
you're right. And there is only 3 games. You are correct. In fact, it would make that. And if Forest do not win, then Arsenal are guaranteed. No, that's not true. No, that's not true. Nope, that's not true. Never mind. I'm taking that back. I'm backtracking on that. No, it's fine. Yeah. Okay. But to that same point, Gary, Aston Villa's result also was. That's another one, right? That was another absolute. They won.
No, they won. They beat Fulham 1-0 as well.
Where am I? What week am I in? Hold on a second. I need to time. Let me backtrack and get my head back into space.
Yeah. Woo. Exactly. You're thinking about the match week before when they lost to City, and of course, and that was the concern, right? Yes. So no, they were
all
fine.
Muddled.
There we go. Yeah. So no, Villa were fine. They beat Fulham 1-0 this weekend as well, and Yuri Tielemans scored that one as well. But I think
that's right.
Yeah. So it is becoming interesting. I mean, that Man United Brentford game losing 4-3. I don't even know what to say, to be honest. It's just not surprising, but it is surprising still, if that makes sense.
The only words: sucky inconsistency. I mean, jeez. Yeah. It's not pretty. Mm-hmm. It's not pretty. As a person who does not support Manchester United, I find it hilarious, but that's, that's just sour grapes and all that other stuff coming in. And good on you, Brentford. I mean, they brought it. And I will, toss Man U a bit of a bone. They didn't roll over. Mm-hmm. They were down 4-1. And they found at least a little bit of pride and heart to make it a passable scoreline.
Yeah.
And I think, again, you talk about hangovers. They are thinking. They're thinking of this Thursday Europa League fixture.
That's where their head's at. Yeah, they're safe. There's nothing else they can do, and then just get the season over with and start going rebuilding, right? But
they've got to be concerned. I mean, if Brentford can do that, I think Bilbao can do that.
Oh yeah, and
I think Bilbao has that potential. Although they do have to play at Old Trafford.
And there's a 3-goal gap.
While Old Trafford has always been a wonderful, citadel for the United team, this year that has not been the case. It has been a very, very leaky castle.
It has indeed.
So it actually puts a little bit of hope in that game. I was looking at that as a write-off game, where don't even waste your time because it's a done deal. And then but this performance that they put in.
Yeah,
could be a must. Could be worth seeing anyway.
Could be. Yeah, it will be worth watching. Yeah. So we'll see how that one checks out. We'll get into the quarterfinals, obviously the semi-final, second legs going forward a little bit. I think just looking around, obviously the Premier League. The other one that made me laugh was, and you summed it up perfectly with the featured image you had on your article that you wrote on Saturday's game week wrap up. But Jamie Vardy, obviously the referee got knocked over and got one in the back of the head, and Jamie Vardy, we were just talking before, went and blew the referee's whistle. Now part of it was there a little bit of shithousery and he was sort of messing around a little bit, but the other hand, as from your perspective as a referee, the whistle had not been blown, so you got to play to the whistle, right?
and the game was proceeding. The referee he got a blow on the back of the head that was apparently pretty bad. It wasn't like a quick recovery. As a referee who has been struck by some very hard shots before in the head, that will generally knock you for a loop. You get up, you kind of go, okay, I think I'm all right. He was not all right.
He was not good.
It had to be replaced by the fourth official. And in case anyone's curious, yes, that's why you have fourth officials. For those unlikely events when the referee goes down, or an AR goes down, and it happens. You got to have somebody to step up, otherwise the match is over.
Yeah,
because you can't do the match with only 2. So that's why you have 4th officials. They're not just there to be, yelled at and harassed by the opposing managers. Yeah, and you're right. Without the whistle being blown, the players have to continue to play, and it can get dangerous because if nobody's watching and observing. So yes, there was a little bit of snarkiness, there was a little bit of cheek in Vardy's move, but at the same time,
he did the right thing.
And he's got 2 games left, kids. So what are they going to do? Give him a ban? Give him a ban for unsportsmanlike conduct? I don't think so.
Yeah, exactly.
He's not even the English FA is going to go out and do that. No, not going to happen.
And obviously he's announced that he's leaving Leicester, so where he goes will be interesting. I think I did heard some rumors that he feels he's still good enough to compete in the Premier League, maybe at a lower level team, but I think, just with the career and the sort of the story he has, it
everything
would kind of
that
tarnish.
I'm hearing. Yeah. Do you know what I'm hearing?
MLS, Miami?
No.
Replace Suarez?
No.
Go on.
Wrexham.
Oh, wow. That was championship. Okay.
The room. I mean, he's going down to the championship anyway.
Yeah.
He's going to be out of Leicester. Wouldn't it make so much sense to pull in a player like Vardy into the Wrexham thing with all the media hype, get him set up for his next chapter? Yeah. I mean, from every that entire team on the Wrexham side is like, we can get Vardy.
Yeah, I'm sure they can. And if you're Vardy,
we can totally get Vardy,
because I've heard that there's a movie about him that's being produced, as I understand, or there's definitely been a script written about his story, just how he was a painter and decorator up until the age of like 24, 25, and so there's going to be a movie, so you can see. Hollywood stars aligning, right?
The same way that I think it was Ben Forster. Remember that the goalkeeper who used to play in the Premier League, he came to Wrexham. Yeah. There was a subtext story there that most people might have missed if they watched, but he was starting a media company. Yeah. And he aligned himself with Wrexham, and they helped promote his podcast and some of the stuff that he was doing. Yeah. And he made that incredible penalty save to push them to get them promoted. Again, you can't pre-write these scripts, but I'm just saying it's a possibility that Jamie Vardy could go with the Dragons and exchange his blue for red and possibly join up. I mean, it makes sense.
I could see that. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
Besides, Rebecca wants screen time. Gary, Rebecca wants screen time.
she's got to pay for the being sued by Wayne Rooney's wife, isn't it?
I mean, I don't know. It just makes so much sense to me. But
yeah, no, that's a really good shout. Actually, that would be a fun one. Okay. So speaking of players leaving their clubs, it was announced earlier on this morning that, as we anticipated and expected, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Trent as he's affectionately known, came out and officially confirmed that he will not be staying at Liverpool, which is fair, which is, and so I can understand. Obviously, the wild rumors are sort of. A Real Madrid, obviously Fabrizio Romano has sort of did a here we go
Fabrizio, here we go. It's done.
It's
Fabrizio
verbal.
doesn't say here we go unless he's very confident that that's
never premature. Here he goes. Yes, exactly. Isn't it amazing how he's been able to sort of brand himself that way? It's fantastic.
That is it. That is as good as a signature on a piece of paper.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and we kind of, again, I think everyone saw the writing on the wall here, which is fair. And look, if you are Trent Alexander-Arnold, you've been at Liverpool your whole life. You're a local boy. You've come all the way up through the system. You've won everything. He has won the Champions League, 2 Premier Leagues. He's won all the trophies, all the cups, everything that can be done. Like it does feel like, okay, like he wants to go and have a new challenge, which is fair. What I don't think is so fair is there was quite a lot of negativity and hostility. Sorry, I can't speak today. Hostility.
Thank you. We got you.
Yep. Hostility towards him, and I see this Trent shirts being burnt online, and of course I know it's a couple of idiots probably just sort of trying to get some clicks and some engagement, but
absolutely
it does feel a little bit unfair that just because he's a local lad and he wants to go on, there is the argument that Liverpool knew his contract was expiring a long, long time ago, and they didn't prioritize him and didn't push to sort of make him an offer that he couldn't refuse. Now, it may be the case that they were making him amazing offers and he was just saying, stonewalling and saying, no, I'm going to Madrid. But I do feel as though that Liverpool, probably didn't sort of prioritize this one as much as they had. And, I don't know what's your take on that one.
Yeah. Speculation aside, listen, I have a Liverpool supporter in my home, and he doesn't particularly like it, and he thinks it's a bad move. But that's also because he's not a huge fan of Real Madrid. And I think there is a sense that when one of your own leaves and goes to another club that you have a rivalry with, and you're going to be facing at some point in the future, whether that be inside the same league. Like if he had left Liverpool and gone to Everton.
Oof, yeah.
That would have been worse. I mean, obviously that would have been much worse, right? Because but Real Madrid are not that much further down the Liverpool hate order, right? Than Everton is.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, they play each other a lot. They meet. They're going to be Champions League rivals, and so there's a likelihood in the new format that they will meet up.
Yep.
So I understand disappointment. I understand maybe even a little bit of resentment within that crowd, burning his gear, burning his swag and all that stuff. No, there's no place for that really.
Yeah.
I said, they're doing it for the clicks and the likes,
yeah,
or the hates for whatever it is. That shouldn't be condoned or promoted, but listen, all good success to Trent. You're young. You want to go and get some other stuff, right? You want to experience some new things.
Yeah,
going to be with your friend Jude.
Yeah, exactly.
Why not?
Yeah,
why
exactly.
Not?
He has earned it. He has earned it. Right. That's it. Yeah.
I think you're right, and that's a great way to put it. He has earned the right to choose where he wants to go, and be sent off with a thank you and a
Premier League, and a Premier League medal. Yeah. That's
right.
Yeah. But again, you can also sort of look at Liverpool internally here at Fenway Sports Group and how they've conducted themselves here. As I say, they let their three biggest stars' contracts run right down. And obviously they managed to save Van Dijk and Salah. But so this is not, it's not a case of, a case of sort of like Trent sort of saying like, I'm sure, they probably didn't do enough, and he probably also felt it was time to move on once he'd achieved everything. So so best of luck to Trent. It will be interesting to see if see how he performs, and if the left wingers. I think there was the best meme I saw was Lamine Yamal, who was obviously the one of the wingers, obviously, who will be going up against Trent, will be licking his lips and sort of the chance to sort of basically roast him and go run at him. That will be a fun contest to go and see for sure. Yamal against Trent Alexander-Arnold.
And I think I've made my thoughts on Real very clear. Right, I don't think at this moment it is a club with too much gravitas, and it certainly does not have any true respect and love for the game, in my opinion. They are now being purely mercenary and really underhanded in the types of tactics and in the way that they're conducting themselves. It's a bit, and so personally, I think it's a bad move only because of the way that they're behaving. Right. I'm not going to go into anything else on that, right? Or what the money is or anything like that. That's his business. I don't care.
No, but as I say, he's earned it for sure. And then speaking of other moves that have worked out, over in Germany, they're obviously wrapping up. Bayern Munich were crowned as Bundesliga champions, which is no surprise there. It's actually a surprise when they don't win it because of the structure and the dominance they have in that league and that competition and that country. Yeah. But what is interesting as well is you've got Harry Kane, who is an incredible striker, who's won his first piece of silverware in his career. Yeah, finally. Right. He had to leave Spurs.
Well done, Harry. Though, I mean, and it's about time. He's a class player. He really is.
Yeah.
He's a class player who's been, who I think stayed true to Spurs through a lot.
He did, yeah.
He could have bailed earlier. He didn't. He gave Spurs really some of the best years of his career.
Of it, most of it, yeah.
And it's nice that he finally gets a little bit of shiny object.
He gets the silverware and then the goals, and so that's it. What is interesting, just as a comparison, right? I think Bayern Munich paid 100 million euros for Harry Kane, right? Okay. Yeah. Now let's put that into context. Manchester United paid 75 million for Rasmus Højlund. That's
not really a fair comparison, is it, Gary?
Yeah, just think they could have gone. They could have pushed a little bit more and got guaranteed goals and assists, and obviously sort of been in a much more sort of advantageous position than they currently are.
I think Kane would have gone to Man U, man.
It's yeah.
He might have.
If the project had been presented as well, but yeah, it was just so. Anyway, I think
I really do think I think Kane wanted out of the Premier League. To be honest,
same as Trent, right? As well. I just want to go and challenge myself in another league.
I want to try something different, right?
Yeah.
And I also think deep down he knew that by going with Bayern Munich, that it was almost virtually guaranteed that he was going to get something.
Yeah, although last season he got stung by that one, didn't he? And that was that. There was the just going right.
That was a bit of an anomalous season across the board.
Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, okay. So that covers obviously all of the goings on in in Europe with that's going on, and then while we're just having a look in the look back phase, this past weekend obviously we had all the MLS activity as well. Again, I did mention this on the last episode. Is why is it that LA Galaxy are not getting as much pickup and coverage about their absolutely disastrous performance and situation where they just can't get the fucking ball in the back of the net and are just leaking goals everywhere. Stone last in terms of the standings in the Western Conference as well, which is just shocking. And not only just stone last, there's clear daylight now between the sort of between Houston, who are 7 points clear of them as well. So, do you want to? I'll tee that one up for you then. And do you want to explain what happened then, Qooligan?
I'm just gonna start with the direct quote from an article that appeared on hooligan-soccer.com about the MLS previews, and it went like this. The only reason to tune in is to see how badly LA Galaxy bollocks it up. Mike dropped.
Called
prediction
it.
True. Called it.
It's there in writing.
Now, how badly did they bollocks it up? So they were playing the second worst team in the MLS. Sorry, no, not the second worst team. The second worst team in the MLS Western Conference. Sporting Kansas City. There's still the Montreal problem. Sporting Kansas City won the game 1-0. Sporting Kansas City had 0 shots on goal. I'm going to say that again because it's important. 0 shots on goal. Actually, 0 shots, period. They did not take one shot. And they won the game.
They won. Oh, my God.
You can't get any worse for both teams. That is a terrible piece of history to make.
Yeah.
I mean, Kansas City's going, hey, we got the win. So they've at least got that bragging right. Good for them. Well done. Well earned your 3. But there's no words. There's no words to describe what Galaxy's going through. It is an almost
Space Jam.
Boy, are they happy. No, but Space Jam had a happy ending. This won't have a happy ending.
This is
they did Space Jam. They recovered. Galaxy's not recovering from this. Not this season.
And they have no available GAM money, no available general allocation money because they've burnt through it all as well. So they've got so little now. They don't have any aces up their sleeve, right? They're going to have to sell to buy, and it's just they're going to be going into a market desperate. I mean, do they go and pull and do they go and do something stupid like go and try and sign Jamie Vardy, for example, and throw him up top and have him as a designated player and cut one of their DPs? That's again, just I'm sure these things are being discussed in Anaheim, right?
It's not even a question of whether they're being discussed in Anaheim. Remember that the player still also has to give permission to go, and even Vardy. If Hardy wants Hollywood celebrity, go to Wrexham. Do not go to the Galaxy. Trust me. No, really. Do not do that. That will not end well. That will not end well. No, it won't.
It won't end well, indeed. So, and so just to confirm, so the way they obviously won the game is because they scored. LA are so bad that they scored an own goal. right?
That is correct.
So that's it. That's an own goal. That's how embarrassing and bad it is. They didn't even have to take a shot to win the game, right?
No.
So
and I do have to say I feel really bad for the player who scored that own goal. I mean, that's terrible, right? They happen. Own goals happen. Any defender, anybody who's ever played defender knows they're going to happen, own goals. But to have one that comes back and stings you just like that, that's so unpleasant.
And in the manner that it was done, it was definitely very very unpleasant.
Yeah.
So I think, I mean, the best thing that could possibly happen for LA is like this Club World Cup comes around and all games get paused and they get a chance to just kind of recuperate, go away on a sort of camp, sort of morale building camp or training holiday or something like that, and then try and come back and pick up the rest of the season when try and sort of salvage something. But it is really, really alarming how bad it is, right? It's really alarming.
It truly.
Yeah.
And you're right. The Club World Cup hiatus for 30 days that's going to change the whole nature of the season.
Yeah,
because the teams that have that momentum are going to lose it, and the teams that got nothing are going to get a chance to like you said, to regroup and maybe try to find something.
Yeah.
But there were other matches. There were other matches than that disaster, which was probably watched by all of 12 people, because we would have tuned into that.
Yeah, that's true.
And the one, some of them that really stand out to me, one, Cincinnati's loss to New York City FC. That was a big one. And then Columbus Crew versus Charlotte. This was the game of the week. We picked this as the game of the week, and boy, did it deliver. I mean, it was an absolutely rollicking, open game. There were shots galore. There were saves galore. It was just bam, 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 other sides of the field. 2 penalty kicks in the first half. Columbus Crew ultimately won, and they dominated. They did. I have to say that, right? I mean, when all things are considered, Columbus Crew were the better outfit. They were more dangerous. And let's make a note. Charlotte was without Pep Biel. And I think that was the key differentiator in that game. Pep Biel is their puppet master. He's the guy who's holding all the strings, and he wasn't there, and they didn't quite look as sharp as they did, as they do when he's like on the field.
Yeah. Okay. I think then just bouncing around some of the other games, it was good to see, I think all of those players that we've called out who have sort of gone off the boil a little bit seem to get on the score sheet. I'm talking a main name, Almiron, obviously for Atlanta. I know they obviously drew against Nashville, but it was good to see Miggy get on the score sheet as well and sort of get something there.
That could be a catalyst.
Yeah, that could be. DC as well. Benteke as well got on the score sheet as well. I know we've said that he's really, again, they sort of seem to be a one-trick pony, and thankfully he did pull out a trick and get on the score sheet. So hopefully that sort of gives them a bit of confidence.
Yeah, that was that was a surprising result. I was shocked by that, but good on you, DC. Well done.
Yeah. And then the other one as well. And again, I've been certainly hating on Luis Suarez a lot. He got on the score sheet as well. So that's also there's 3 players there who have been sort of
I mean, when you score 4 goals, you certainly hope that one of your 3 big players is going to have that. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
And good. And I mean, not just, wasn't just Suarez. Messi also got a goal. So it's like, okay, good. I mean, after a 3-game pummeling, which that's what they were, after that 3-game pummeling that they received, this was exactly what they needed, emotionally. To be able to like come back and be like, oh, woo, all right, it's not gone, it's not all lost, and it's not all lost. They're still very strong. They're in a good position in the league, and no reason to think that they can't, at least make the playoffs and hopefully put in a deep run.
Well, I think making the playoffs is not going to be an issue given the sort of structure and the sort of the format of it. But yeah,
well, yes. I wasn't going to hate on them that bad, but go ahead, Gary, pile it on.
Obviously San Diego as well, my new favorite team as well. Woo! Obviously with their biggest scoreline, 5 goals. Obviously, sort of putting it through. So
that game is less about San Diego, in my opinion, and more about Dallas, who brought it to Miami last week, and then this week completely screwed the pooch. What is going on in Dallas? And who is this team?
Yeah, well,
I mean, they did allow 3 to Miami, so we knew they were porous. But
But
I mean, wow.
5 to San Diego, it wasn't pretty. And then, of course, while we're just bouncing around all the Texas teams as well, then Austin also sort of, my local team obviously sort of got absolutely spanked by Minnesota. First goal.
Austin's been on thin ice for far too long, man. It's about time they get their comeuppance.
We called it out, didn't we, a few weeks ago, how they could have a negative goal difference and be sitting second in the Western Conference. It was it was an interesting, as I say, it was gravity was going to sort of kick in eventually, and it seems to be the case at the moment, right? So yeah. Okay.
And then San Jose Earthquakes, I gotta say, to rep my Bay Area teams, I did not expect that scoreline. I mean, Timbers are actually, Timbers are third. They were sitting strong in the West, and I was going, man, well, another embarrassing loss but no, San Jose, Espinoza and Arango came out hard, came out fast, right? They were up 3-0 before 30 minutes and never looked back, to their credit. And I think that's the craziest thing about this Earthquakes team is that week to week and week over week, you never know which one's going to show up, right? Is it going to be the super like vibrant, dynamic, attacking, scoring unit, or the one that just seems to trip over its own shoelaces?
Yeah, it's
who knows.
Yeah, obviously, and then Vancouver. I mean, Vancouver are just so dominant at the moment, so good, looking just so comfortable, cruise control.
On rolling.
Yeah, just cruise controlling, just going through there as well. Yeah, so that's I think that's okay. All right, so that wraps up.
I'm going to say it right now. Club World Cup. Not only should you come in, follow the Club World Cup, the Hooligan Sports Podcast, but please, FIFA, tomorrow, the Court for Sport Arbitration rules tomorrow on the fate of Leon.
Okay.
In the Club World Cup, because obviously Leon is owned by an entity that has another club in the Club World Cup, and they're not allowed, under the bylaws, you're not allowed to have two clubs under the same ownership. So they've taken it all the way to the highest court for sport. They get a ruling. Please knock Leon out and invite in Canada.
Yeah. That's that. I agree with you, and I would think that would be a really, really good move. Now, just a couple of things on that one. Interesting that they've gone to CAS, the Court for Arbitration of Sports as well. First of all, how did FIFA fuck this up so much as well by actually not realizing who the ownerships are and actually inviting two teams instead of getting tripped up in their own bylaws?
That's attributing far too much intelligence to FIFA. The reason that they fucked it up is because they created an algorithmic selection process, and they just went with it and didn't factor in ownership. And that's honestly the way it was, right? Yeah. By all of the rules around selection for the Club World Cup, everything was followed to the T, and it was appropriate.
Yeah.
There was that one little pesky thing that I don't think anybody, and I also suspect that FIFA didn't think people were going to realize it. I had a feeling they thought they could get away with it.
Yeah, well.
And I would not be surprised if that ruling begins to just disappear as clubs become consolidated within this multi-club ownership model. This type of bylaw, this type of tradition, whatever you may call it, suddenly disappears by the wayside.
Yeah.
Precisely because of all of the sort of negative impact this is going on to, right?
It gets complicated, this tangled web that is created, right? It's just how do you unpick it?
If Leon goes out, do you select another Mexican club? How do you go back and do this? I'm not even sure if their own bylaws have a backing. They probably have teams in reserve.
Yeah.
But does that team in reserve even have the time? Do they have the bandwidth? Can they even compete? Because the Mexican league isn't stopping.
Yeah.
Right. All of a sudden, could you take yourself out of a season in the same way? Right. Like most of the European clubs and other parts of the world don't have anything happening during this season. But what if they do? I don't know. It's a grand old question.
Yeah, it is. And so my understanding is there's going to be if CAS rules that they cannot compete then there's, as I said, I think FIFA have floated the idea that they're going to let two teams have a playoff and let them decide. And is that correct? It's LAFC against someone potentially.
I've heard that as well. That it's LAFC versus, but I don't know who. Mm-hmm. And to be honest with you, I don't even. Sure, I mean, I think it's great that you do a playoff, right? And at least put some element of element of earning the spot.
Yeah. But how do they get there in the first place? How do they get those two teams into the playoff, right? This is, I mean, yeah. I mean,
FIFA, the funny thing about FIFA is that for all, they create their own bylaws, they write the laws of the game, but they just as easily flout and flaunt those that if it serves their better interest. So they are first and foremost going to find a replacement club if that is needed in a way that suits FIFA first. That's their first criteria.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The game and everything else, that's the second criteria. If they were doing it based upon trying to broaden the world's game or do that, including a Canadian team would be a huge step in that process, right?
Yeah.
Not to mention give a little nod to the World Cup that's going to be in Canada as well. Mm-hmm. They are one of the hottest teams right now. It's certainly in their league, and they're not doing that poorly internationally. So, you'd have that justification.
Okay, and then going forward, obviously we've got the second legs of the semifinals in these European competitions coming up tomorrow and Wednesday, and then even through Thursday. These ones are actually quite exciting. If you think, I know what the Europa League as well suddenly got very interesting. So let's start in the Champions League. So tomorrow, the first game we have Inter Barca. Now, if this game is half as good as the last one, we are in for an event, right?
I know. This is so exciting. It's so exciting to see a game like this, come across, and this is the must-watch game. And I'm not even going to try and dignify predicting this one because it is completely wide open. But I will say this: if Inter do not stop Yamal and Rafinha from having their will and imposing, just having their way with them, it's going to be a long game. And here's the worst part. Lewandowski's back.
He's back as well. And as I understand
they've said that he's game ready. And I'm like, oh my God, really?
Yeah.
Oh, well. So they got that to deal with as well. And then it's a shame that they got rid of the away goals rule.
Yeah.
Because I think that would have been Inter's real saving grace. Right?
That would be.
But whatever. What's done is done. I'm not going to cry over that milk.
And I recall, obviously, Inter made quite a few substitutions in the game and had some injuries, particularly Martinez, their star striker, as well, went off, and I think with a hamstring. So if it's a hamstring, it's 2 to 4 weeks. So I don't think he'll be fit. And so they might also be have a reduced squad and reduced potency as well.
I'm just hoping, like you said, I want a game half as good as the last one.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, just in it for the entertainment as well. And then, of course, moving forward, then obviously on Wednesday we go to Paris and go and see obviously Arsenal go and try and sort of dig themselves out of that hole. I mean, just judging on last weekend's performance as well, I don't have a lot of hope here. However, this wouldn't be the first time that we've written Arsenal off, particularly against that Madrid game. So again, were they saving themselves? Are they going to turn up and really bring it? And is Declan Rice going to smash in another couple of bangers that he seems to sort of pull out and save his team?
Yeah. Soundbite. The Gooners are goners. I don't think they come back.
Yeah.
They're lucky that they're only down 1 goal.
Mm-hmm.
Frankly.
Yes.
And so while it is conceivable and while it is close, and I think it'll be an exciting game, I don't think they're going to be able to do it. I'm not going to rule them out because we've proven that, but I think they're done. I think they're done.
Yeah. It's you'd expect PSG, but again, it's
especially at home. Especially at home.
Yeah, and our friends, the Soccer Sharps, as well. I know they were doing a live stream earlier on, and they were definitely like the line, like the flavor and the odds that they were giving Arsenal. Because again, Arsenal could turn up, and if you do get that on form Arsenal, that they do have the potential to sort of do some damage to them. But PSG it's also just that attacking lineup of PSG that they have of Kavicha and Dembele, and then they've also got that other young kid as well, who's actually sort of, I think he's a young French kid as well. He's very, very good. So my favorites would be PSG on that one for sure. Okay, and then going over to Thursday. Now, this is where the real action is, because you've got a wild situation, or do you think there's too much daylight and goals to catch up?
No, I mean, I don't. Well, I've got two halves on this one. There is no action in the Bilbao Man U game.
You think
in my opinion, as bad and as inconsistent as Manchester United have been this year, I don't think they can fuck this one up. 3-goal lead.
Harry Maguire on the wing as he did for them. Yeah.
I don't think that Man U is going to fuck this up that bad. Mm-hmm. No, they're not going to.
Okay.
They're not.
Okay. Yeah, all they have to do is just go and park the bus and hold on for 90 minutes. However, it will be a hostile environment against all those Athletic Bilbao fans. Yeah, it will be
very hostile. Intense. But that said, I don't think Bilbao is going to be able to pull it out. No.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So
I do think that Bodo, because of that late goal that they scored, there is daylight. And as we know, there's now nearly 24 hours of daylight in Bodo. So that daylight's looking pretty good. Mm-hmm. They could take this to Spurs and win it.
Yes.
I'm not so confident to say that it's going to happen. There's a gigantic chasm between these two teams in terms of quality, Gary. And I'm not dissing Bodo at all, because they've got good players. Mm-hmm. They were missing their star player in Tottenham Stadium. Mm-hmm. He was serving a suspension for a yellow card, so he's back. Mm-hmm. They're also extraordinarily strong at home. They've only lost one game at home that I believe only one game this season at home. Mm-hmm. They play on a surface that a lot of teams don't like. It's slick. It's turf.
It's fast.
So it's fast. So they know how to play on that. Other teams tend to sometimes struggle. Mm-hmm. If Bodo can get on the scoreboard early, I think they can set Spurs reeling, and they can start that Spursiness mentality. Mm-hmm. Because there aren't going to be a lot of Spurs fans traveling up to that part of the world.
Oof. Yeah,
they can only seat 8,000 anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm expecting to see a lot of toothbrushes. I'm expecting to see a lot of yellow and black. And I'm expecting to actually see Bodo maybe come away with it. All they need is 2 goals to force extra time.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
Maybe they and that's well within their capacity to do so. But they have to stop Spurs from scoring. And I'm not sure if they're going to be able to do that. That's the one X factor.
That's the one, yeah. If they can, well, again, it depends if Spurs can bring it and can actually get some.
They're in the driver's seat. It's in their destiny. If they don't make it, well, Spurs fans, now you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then of course on the other side, you've got obviously in the Europa Conference League, you've got Fiorentina against Betis, and then Chelsea against Djurgården, which I think Chelsea are pretty much through as well.
I'm not even. Nothing. There's nothing in any of these. No,
nothing in there. Thank you.
Don't care.
Nothing there for you. Okay, well, as always, Qooligan. It's we've bounced around the world. All the different narratives and all the different agendas that we've gone through as well. Once again, just inside of 45 minutes as well. So we'll wrap it up there. So we'll be watching. We'll be obviously covering a lot of all of this stuff as well. And as mentioned as well, if you've made it this far as well, please feel free to reach out to us, follow us, like us, comment, all of those wonderful things. Hooligan-soccer.com is where all the articles and all the activity is going. Daily newsletter as well coming up, as well as obviously this podcast. So until then, Qooligan, I will we'll be back later on in the week and see what the results and who's going to be playing in the finals, which will be a very exciting sort of task. And we'll also know what's going on with the Club World Cup and who that final team is that will be taking that available slot. So yeah,
that's correct. All right,
wonderful. All right, until next time.
Peace.